Is British Airways actually as good as or better in economy than business class on its short-haul flights? Well, if you have BA Silver status or above, I think it is. Let me explain. Today we're flying on BA's short-haul economy known as Eurotraveller from Newcastle to London Heathrow. We arrived at the airport early in the morning for a 6 AM departure. Now BA have a relatively small check-in area at Newcastle, and passengers flying in business class or with BA or One status can use a separate queue. We were able to join this section due to my silver status. Security lines at Newcastle can vary greatly, and this morning the lines were quite busy. Thankfully, our silver status gets us through the priority security line just as it would on a business class ticket. Once through security, it's time to head to the lounge. Now without status, no lounge is offered for economy passengers, although Newcastle Airport does have quite a few cafes, bars and restaurants to choose from, but thanks to my BA Silver status, we were granted access to the Aspire Lounge. If you don't have status or a business class ticket, you can also pay £40 to enter, or gain access with passes such as Priority Pass. Be warned though, the lounge can be very busy at peak times, and we have sometimes been turned away when trying to access the lounge with Priority Pass. BA business class or status guarantees access, however, and you'll sometimes be put in the Aspire Plus lounges that overflow at peak times. The best time to be in this lounge is in the morning when the food options are actually fairly edible most of the time. In addition to the food, there's basic alcohol and soft drink options and coffee machines at the back. The coffee isn't great quality, but some form of caffeine was definitely needed before this 6 AM flight. After a decent amount of time relaxing in the lounge, it's time to board the flight. Silver status gets us in board in Group 2, meaning that we're one of the first on the plane alongside the business class passengers. This can be a real advantage on what is often a completely full flight, as you can ensure that you make use of the luggage storage above your seat before all that gets too full. At the front of the cabin is Club Europe, BA short-haul business class. The seat itself is exactly the same as those in economy, however the middle seat is blocked out and has a tray table. BA charges high fees for seat selection, but with silver status we can book seats for no extra charge at time of booking, which includes the exit row. These exit row seats actually give us more legroom than you get in the standard business class seats, with the exception of the front row. Now, whilst we're waiting to take off, let's talk about the cost. Well, the main purpose of today's flight was to connect onto a 9-hour journey that's going to take us from London to Nairobi, Kenya in BA's new Club Suite business class, which I'm showing on screen here. Now this is an Avios reward booking, which costs 190,000 Avios plus £450 for a return flight in business class from Heathrow to Nairobi. And we booked this using a BA Amex 2-for-1 voucher. However, when you add a connecting flight from my home city of Newcastle, it doesn't actually require any additional cash in the tax and charges or any additional Avios to go from Newcastle down to Heathrow, which means that for us this specific flight is technically free. Since our flight to Nairobi is in business class, the connection would usually also be booked in business class as well. However, at the time of booking, there was no business class availability, just economy, which is why we've ended up in this. But as I've said, given the silver status, it gives us a lot of the perks of business class anyway. Now back to today's flight, BA does offer a small snack and a bottle of water. Compared that to what I received in business class on this route a couple of weeks earlier. As you can see, I wasn't exactly getting much extra for the business class fare doing this route. The flight offers Wi-Fi, but at a cost of £5 for just a 50-minute flight, I'd have a really hard time justifying that. It is worth noting as well, there's no discount or free Wi-Fi offered for business class passengers. You would still have to pay the same £5. think overall I'd find it very hard to justify spending the extra of business class on a short haul economy flight if you do have silver status or higher. This status gets you most of the same benefits as business class, plus a seat with more legroom, so the only thing you're really paying more for is the meal and drinks, which as we've seen aren't always better. Now to BA's credit, on an afternoon or evening service the food is a lot better. This is some of the examples of the recent meals that have been served. I'm also a lot more likely to take advantage of the drinks offering on later flights. But for the early morning flights on a short haul route, if I'm paying cash, I'll be sticking with economy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you pick economy over business ever?